bacterial strains can, they can have these different characteristics based on what genes that they have in plasmids and so forth, like the kinds of symptoms that a particular bacteria might give you if it infects you might be dependent on what it's carrying in its plasmids, and how easy it is for you to overcome that is dependent on that. Here's a plasmid represented here in the smaller loop of DNA, and that's what they would pass through each other through the villi. All right, over here we have the flagellum, and the flagellum is this semi-rigid, kind of semi-flexible bit of protein that sticks out the back. And it's got a little motor here that can spin, and the bacteria can reverse the direction of the spin to reverse the direction of the bacteria. There are different, not all bacteria have one flagellum here at the end. Any kind of arrangement is possible. You might have no flagella, you might have flagella at each end, you might have one flagellum at each end, or a bunch of flagella at each end, or you can just have, flagella all around the cell like that. Right? All right. Bacteria can live in every kind of way of getting food for themselves, right? So, what does it mean to be autotrophic?
Make your own food.
You make your own food. And heterotrophic, what does that mean? You have to eat it from some other creature, right? You have to eat food that some other creature made, right? How do we classify bacteria? So if you're handed a strange bacteria, if a scientist is handed a strange bacterium, and they have to figure out what that bacteria is, what's the first thing that they'll do to it? You guys did some stuff in lab.
Gram stain.
Yeah, gram stain, right? So bacteria are classified largely by their ability to retain a stain, like when we start to identify the bacteria and everything. Well, the ability to retain a stain. All right. Any questions about bacteria? All right. All right, so that's the prokaryotic life forms right there. Now, in the eukaryotic life forms, we divide the eukaryotic life forms into these kingdoms, right? You guys seen the NPR movie, the NPR animation on, I showed you this. Have you guys seen this? No? Maybe you can communicate.
The next time you look in the mirror, think about this. In many ways, you're more micro than human. There are 10 times more cells from microorganisms, bacteria, viruses, fungi, than human cells in and on our bodies. And our genes are outnumbered 100 to 1 by microbial genes. Scientists even have a name for all these microbial genes, the human microbiome. Now, this might make a lot of people rush for the hand sanitizer. But it turns out most of these microorganisms aren't bad. Germs that will make us sick. Most are good. And without these good microbes, our bodies don't seem to do as well. We don't seem to be as healthy, and we actually might get sick more often. So one question is, where do our microbiomes come from in the first place? Well, like a lot of things, it starts with our mothers. As the infant passes through the birth canal, it is coated with microbes from the mom. These microbes may kind of seed the baby with just the right mix. Combined with bacteria, breast milk, and other microbes we encounter early on, they seem to slowly take shape in our first few years of life. The overall mix of our microbes becomes very personal, sort of like a fingerprint or maybe a blood type. But our microbes tend to resemble those of our parents and siblings, and may stay with us for much of our lives. They may also be doing all sorts of things, such as educating our immune cells, like this one, teaching them the difference between things they should fight off, bad bugs that might make us sick, and things that aren't a threat, like our good microbes. When we're adults, microbes become our first line of defense, fighting off germs that try to invade our bodies, protecting their turf while protecting our health. Scientists have discovered they can even spew out their own antibiotics. The types of microbes in your body vary depending on exactly where they live, like different ecosystems in nature. There are wet places like our mouths, noses, and armpits, oily places like our scalps and backs, and dry places like our forearms. Different species of microbes have adapted to each of these habitats. The biggest, most important microbial habitat seems to be in the gut. It's the most complex, the most diverse, and everything microbes are doing everywhere else in our bodies, fighting off infections, revving up and dampening down our immune system, signaling cells, that's all happening in the gut in spades. They even seem to help regulate our metabolism, how much energy we burn, and how much fat we store. So if it's not functioning properly for some reason, because of what we eat, antibiotics we take, that may actually lead to all kinds of diseases. Diseases like colon cancer, colitis, maybe even diabetes and obesity. Some scientists think one reason a lot of diseases are increasing is because we've lost key gut microbes. Our microbiomes look far less diverse compared to those of people in less developed countries and earlier generations. And remember how we get our microbiomes in the first place? From our mothers when we're born and from breast milk? Well, some scientists think that too many babies aren't getting that because of all the C-sections and not enough breastfeeding, plus all the antibiotics kids get these days and their obsession with cleanliness. All this may help explain why problems like asthma and allergies have been soaring. Maybe because our microbiomes never taught our immune systems how to work the right way. Maybe swallowing good microbes, probiotics, could prevent and treat some diseases. So could taking prebiotics, essentially food that good microbes love. And our story was a reminder. This research is really new. We still have a lot to learn about what many of our microbes are really doing. But scientists say that it's getting clearer and clearer that the tiny organisms all over our bodies are essential to our health and happiness.
All right, so I think one of the best things I want to do is kind of put in people's heads the idea of the microbiome and the human body being something more like, you know, like a jungle, like something positive, right? Because people have this notion of bacteria that's like, probably the thing that pops up when you think of bacteria is like the toilet seat at a, you know, gas station restroom or something like that, right? And you think, when you say, well, there's bacteria growing all over your face, people are like, well, that's something horrible that I just don't want to think about, you know, like that's gross and everything like that. And of course, the toilet seat at a gas station restroom is, you know, a hostile environment. It doesn't have a lot of bacteria actually on it. It's not the number of bacteria on that place that makes it dangerous. It's the kind of bacteria on that surface that would make that. You know, toilet seat is going to have very few bacteria actually on it. So it's the nature of the bacteria in those places that makes them dangerous. Large amounts of bacteria are not dangerous, right? And like, we know this because we know that people don't like, you know, start to rot or sicken and die when they're licked in the face by a dog or something like that. That really is a massive amount of bacteria being smeared on someone's face. You know, some people might be like, oh, that's disgusting or whatever, but no one's going to panic or freak out like if their child tumbled forward and fell face first into a public restroom toilet or something like that, right? That would stop my heart for a few seconds. So, yeah, like, you know, it is important to think about your microbiome is like a normal, healthy thing, something that, you know, it's more like an ecosystem. And they talked about, you know, the prebiotics. That's part of, that doesn't have to be something that you go to a health store and pick up something expensive in a bottle that comes, you know, like prebiotics. Foods that are known to be, like all the different things you eat are favored by different bacteria. And you can actually have an impact on your microbiome by what foods you consume. So some kinds of bacteria in your gut love it when you eat fast food, right? They're fine and dandy with that. Other kinds of bacteria would rather you eat things like apple peels or muscadines or things like that, right? So fruit peels and blueberries and things like that are high in polyphenols and anthocyanins and things like that. Those substances can feed organs. So when people say